Today I'm going to be making my super easy, perfect white cake recipe. And here are the ingredients that we need. 1 cup of cake flour, 3/4 of a cup of granulated sugar, 3 large egg whites, 1/2 cup of salted butter, 1/2 cup of milk, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and 1 teaspoon of pure almond extract. So those are the ingredients, so let's get started. If you want to keep this recipe as white as possible and you don't want to use almond extract, you can use vanilla, but make sure that your vanilla is the clear vanilla, not the brown one. For our first step, in a large bowl, I'm going to get all of my butter, and my butter is at room temperature. I'm going to grab my mixer and I just want to cream this a little bit. So I just want to get this butter as soft as possible before I add in my sugar. Okay, that's pretty good. Then I'm going to grab all of my granulated sugar and get that right in. And very important, we want to cream this really well. So I've been mixing this about 2 minutes and you can see that it's nicely creamed together. So now we'll get on with our next step. So I'm just going to move my bowl to the side here for a second. I've got a measuring bowl. I'm going to take our egg whites and our milk and our almond extract. That's good. I'll just put my mixer in here. Just going to mix this up a little bit. Okay, that's good. Bring our bowl back in. And now we have our flour and our baking powder. I'm just going to combine those. So then just to loosen this up, I'm going to pour a little bit of our milk. Grab our mixer. Mix this around. And then we're going to sift in some of our dry. I'll go about half. Right in, that's perfect. Mix that in. Oh, this is smelling really, really good. Get up on the sides of your bowl with your mixer, so just up and down, just brings everything down into the center of your bowl. And then we'll go again. A little bit, about half more of the milk. That's good. Get the rest of our flour in. And remember, our baking powder was in with our flour. So that's our last addition of flour. And then the last bit of our mixture. So just mix this up well. And then we're ready to fill our pan. And that's perfect. So we're ready to fill our pan. This pan here is 8 inches in diameter. I sprayed it with a little bit of cooking spray. I cut out a piece of parchment paper and just placed that down in the bottom. We'll grab our nice batter. Just get that right in there. You can see how nice and white this is. Really nice batter. And it's very, very fluffy. And always use a spatula to make sure that you get everything out of your bowl. And there we go. I'm just going to tap it down a little bit so that it's more even. That looks good. And I'm going to pop this into my 350 degree Fahrenheit oven for about 25 minutes. So here we have our cake. I baked it for exactly 25 minutes in my 350 degree Fahrenheit oven. It's been cooling now for about 10 minutes. I'm going to grab a little spatula and I just want to go around just to make sure I have a clean break from my baking pan. This is always a good thing to do. So all the way around. And that's good. Grab a little cooling rack. Ooh, still very hot. I'm going to lift this off. Perfect. Put our rack back on. And there we have our really nice cake. So at this point, I'm just going to let this completely cool down and then I'll come back. So this is about an hour later. My cake has completely cooled. What I did was, before putting it onto my cutting board, I just removed that little piece of parchment paper. I've decided not to frost the cake. I want to just show you what this cake looks like with any type of frosting on it. I may frost it later. If I do, I'll take a little bit more video or a couple of pictures for you, just to finish off the video. So let's cut into this. And look at that. Let me put this on a plate and zoom in. Oh, that is so light. So for the last part of our video, I've just zoomed in as I usually do, just to show you this a little closer up. I just wanted to show you how moist this cake is, and really, really light in color. Really nice. Let me just break into it with my fork. You can see how tender the crumb of the cake is. Of course, I'm going to have to try a little piece. That's really good. Now, if you don't like the almond like I used, you can use vanilla. And if you want to keep the cake really light in color, then you want to use a clear vanilla. So this is a little while later. I've frosted up my cake and I have just finished off a little piece just to show you the final product. So let me zoom in on that. Now that I've zoomed in, you can see a lot more detail on my nice white cake. And I will agree, I went quite heavy on the icing on the top. I have to admit something, I do have a really, really big sweet tooth and I do love frosting. Obviously, if you don't like frosting that much, you're going to cut that down to about half of what I put on there. If you want to make this frosting, I'll put a link to it in the description box underneath this video. I have many different buttercream icings that you might enjoy with this type of cake. So that really is it now for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you wish. I really, really do appreciate that. That's it, and I'll see you next time.